We hear complaints about our urban high schools all the time. Next on Lakeshore Focus, we have two amazing principals who are turning their schools around. Let's hear their stories. Stay with us. Welcome again to Lakeshore Focus, a weekly show highlighting the key issues, important events, and interesting people in our region. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick. Some of the high schools in our region, in Chicagoland, and this nation are struggling, even failing. Many are in urban settings, while some are in rural areas. What makes a difference? It's people, the administrators, teachers, staff, and parents who are heavily involved in making their school better. Well, we've got a couple of principals from two of these schools here to tell us how they are turning their schools around. Let's meet Shaunna Finley, who is the principal at East Chicago Central High School in East Chicago, Indiana, and Michelle Ondas, who is the principal at Gavit High School in Hammond, Indiana. I feel like I'm in trouble. I got two principals sitting here and I'm like in my chair. Did I do something wrong?
No, you have not.
You're good.
You know, I'm not going to tell you what I did in high school so I could get in trouble, but you know, were you guys the perfect students when you were coming up?
No.
Is that a requirement for being a principal, that you maybe challenged a few things when you were younger?
I don't know. I think that to be able to be in a principal's position, to be able to walk in the shoes of our kids is very important, especially when you're a principal of a school in an urban area. Definitely was not a perfect student. Definitely was not a perfect child, big family, so.
Well, Michelle had kind of this look on her face that maybe she was.
I was, yeah. I was the captain cheerleader, the perfect student, did all my homework. I don't think I ever had a detention. But
So do you think that makes it harder to understand the students because you were that kind of?
no, I think I've done a lot of reflecting in my life to really understand and see where our students are coming from, and really taking shape with them day to day and being a part of their lives really has shaped me to fit into their lifestyle and who they are, and really be a support system for them.
You guys are extraordinary leaders in schools. We've got a lot of great principals, I think, in this whole region. I've just met many of them, and they're great. But can you paint a little bit of picture of what these schools were like when you kind of stepped in, or maybe right before you came? Can you paint a picture of what was going on at Gavit?
Gavit's graduation rate when I walked in about 10 years ago was 69%, and currently we're at 88% of graduation rate. We've made gains throughout the years, and it's a different vibe in my building. The vibe in my building is definitely a family vibe.
But tell me what it was like before, because I know you guys are proud of your successes. So
Yeah,
tell me what it's like now.
Yeah.
But where'd you start from? What was
the
vibe?
The vibe was teachers working in isolation, parents not really involved, and there was a lot of violence, I would say, within the building and the surrounding community, a lot more tagging of the building. So the whole environment itself was not a comfortable, safe environment.
What did it feel like when you walked into that school? I mean, just the feeling you had when you walked into that school.
It felt very isolated. Everyone was kind of doing their own thing. It wasn't very welcoming. It was very every man for themselves, kind of, in a sense.
I'm just imagining walking down the hall and seeing people peek out their windows,
Yeah.
like looking at you, like, who are you? And
Doors were closed.
Yeah.
And it was, 10 years ago, having principals walk into your classroom was always considered like a threat, where it's not that way anymore.
They're happy to see you?
Yes,
Okay.
they are.
We'll
yes.
get back to that and
Yes.
really find out if that's really true.
Yes.
Paint the picture, Shaunna, of East Chicago School when you kind of got involved, or before you got involved. What was it like there?
Walking in the building, my first year as the CTE director, the principal quit the same day I hired in and told me I was going to be the principal. And they had a huge turnover of principals. Every 2 years there was a new leadership or a new administration in place. So there was no trust.
So that's got to make you wonder. Let's see. I'm walking through the door. I'm going to be the leader here almost immediately, and all the other ones are gone.
Right.
So,
Yes.
something must be wrong, huh?
Yes, so there was no trust from the teachers. There was no trust. The teachers were constant. They were probably the most consistent factor in the students' lives. So, but the administration is the piece that, or the group that turned over the most. So the students didn't trust, the teachers didn't trust, the community didn't trust. So when you have all of those factors kind of working against you, when you're walking into an urban district with low test rates, violence as well. I mean, my second day there as principal, there was a huge gang fight, and we were in the middle of trying to break it up, and a couple of administrators got injured in the process. But we've done what we can, and we've done a great job.
So you've answered my next question, which was, what was it like walking down the hall? So the second day, you walked right into
A gang fight, and first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning.
What a way to start the day.
It was awesome.
Did you have your first cup of coffee yet?
I don't drink coffee, thank God for it.
So you guys have come a long way with these schools, so I'm gonna let you brag a little, okay? So brag. Your school has won some awards and recognition here.
Yeah, we just won for Indiana the National Title I Distinguished School for closing the achievement gap. So we actually went to Long Beach to represent the state of Indiana for our
Long
achievement.
Beach being California,
Yeah,
not Long Beach,
not
Indiana,
Long,
right?
No, yeah, right, absolutely, Long Beach, California. So it was pretty amazing to go on stage and, you know, our little school from Hammond, Indiana, representing the state of Indiana for closing the achievement gap, which is incredible.
Because you guys jumped nearly 20 points on graduation rate?
Yeah, we've really closed that gap, and we've also made gains on our advanced placement. So we're actually overseeing the state, not overseeing, but our growth in kids taking the AP exam and kids passing the AP exam is larger than what the state actually, state averages. So we're making gains exponentially, just trying to.
So huge leap academically
Yes.
for the students.
Yes.
So how about your school? What change has been there for you? Brag a little.
Brag a little, a lot more caring environment. There was a culture prior to me becoming the principal of suspending kids and kicking them out. When I first hired in as the principal, there were 41 students expelled. There weren't any programs, any support systems in place for students to be able to stay in school and get there and learn. So the first thing was expel them, expel them, expel them. Second year, we put some things in place, restorative justice. We do have a very strong restorative justice program in our school district. And particularly in my school building, we have a referral process, and the teachers that work the program are required to get the students their work. Our goal is to keep our babies in school.
So let me ask you how that works. Let's pretend that I'm one of those disruptive students that you would probably ought to expel or could expel, right? Okay? I mean, so I hear now that we're not expelling as many students, so now can't I be a little bit more disruptive because I'm not facing a penalty?
Well, when you go into the restorative justice room, you're going to learn some skills. We have a program we use called skills streaming where students role play. We also have, depending on the student's infraction, we also have social workers that come in to offer intervention services for those students as well.
Okay, so we'll role play, right?
Yes, we'll role play.
This is really stupid.
Let's go.
This is really stupid.
Oh, no,
What
it's
we're
not
doing in
stupid.
here is just silly.
Okay, it is not. You know what? Eventually, you're going to have to graduate from high school, and you're going to have to take care of yourself.
I don't have to graduate from high school.
You will have to graduate from high school. How do you plan on buying those nice Jordans that you're having? What about that cell phone that you're carrying? Someday you're going to have a job to be able to provide for yourself, right?
And then when I give my answer that my mom will buy it, then you'll laugh and say some other interesting
Yes, I
things,
will.
right?
And you know what? We even have some parents that get involved in the restorative process as well, even if it's just over the phone,
Okay.
to try to help with some of those
So
issues.
that's a culture shift from punishment to here's kind of a rehabilitative kind of process. How'd the environment in your school change? You talked about the academic performance. How'd the environment change?
I think we really focus in on, well, first off, as the administrator, my main goal is to make sure that my teachers have a trusting relationship like you spoke about, because they really have to understand that I'm there for them. And once that's been established and they know that I will do anything for them and that we're in this together, it's not that hierarchy of me up here. I won't ask you to do anything I won't do myself. And so I think with the teachers, understanding that and really knowing that I'm there to work and help them in any sense of the way, that relationship piece has spread throughout the building to now that they have relationships with students and realize the importance of getting to know every single student and getting to know how they can help them. A lot of our students come to school with so-called trauma, whether it's, and a lot of people think that trauma is this heavy thing, but it could be as simple as parents divorcing, or simple as domestic violence, or things that are happening in the household. And it's our role as the educator to help the students understand that we need to be able to look past that and be able to continue on, and like you said, bring around wraparound services to help support that student so that they can be successful.
You're really not looking past it, are you?
No, we're not looking past it. We're looking to help them get through that and move forward.
How did this trust build? You both talked about, so I'm going to ask you both. Sounds like it's a big issue. Trust of probably the teachers, trust of the staff, trust of the kids, trust of the parents. It's easy to say the things you said, but how do you really build that trust? What do you got to do?
You have to be visible. You have to be visible, you have to participate, you have to support. When a family's in trouble, you come together. We had a couple of students last year lost their homes due to fire. We came together as a school community, and we had a fundraising effort to help that family.
So what do they see you doing in those instances, in the instance of the fire? What was Shaunna Finley doing?
I was at the basketball game when we had the fundraising effort going with the student council, collecting money.
Okay.
I was actively participating, and it goes back to what Michelle just stated. They have to know that you're willing to get to their level and to work with them where they are to help them grow to be where they need to be or where they want to be. And that goes for our parents. You can have a conversation with the parents to say, how can I help you to get through some of your issues and barriers as well? And sometimes they'll open up. Sometimes they won't, but you're hoping that you can form that relationship and that partnership so that you can have that relationship to help them get through whatever crisis it is that they're going through. And we have a lot of those happening within our community at this point in time right now, that we have to support one another as a community. I mean, we lost 400 kids this school year because of issues dealing with the crisis in the Calumet area. So you talk about support, we really have to support our families.
So if I was a new parent, a new teacher, a new kid to the schools, and I said to one of my peers, tell me about the principal. What's Miss Ondas like? What would they say?
I don't know. That's hard.
You can make something up.
Okay, I know. I hope.
But what would they probably really say about you?
They'd say that I'm visible, I'm outgoing, and I really care about the kids, and everything I do is about the kids. And there's never a decision that I make that benefits me in any way, shape, or form, but I do everything for the kids, and I'm always there, and the kids know that I care much about them. Yeah.
What would they say about you?
Pretty much the same, and that I need a pair of rollerblades. Because you kind of been in my building.
I have been at your school trying to find you, and I know how difficult it is.
And I'm running with my kids. I'm at lunch. I'm hanging out. I'm in the hallways. I'm in classrooms. Being visible and being busy. And my students would say, "You can go talk to Dr. Finley about whatever." They would say that.
Tell me a time where you felt like you really made a difference in the life of a kid.
Oh, wow.
And I know there's probably tons of them. But
Yes.
pick one that's like, this is one of my stories.
Oh, the one. One just graduated this year in 2017. He was a known gangbanger in the community. Met him his sophomore year, so my freshman year as a principal. And he was a gangbanger. And he had caused up and stirred up a lot of the fights amongst other students because he was the leader. And we expelled him for one semester, and he came back a totally new and different kid. And I would always tell him, you can do this, you're very smart. And he finally received his diploma. He sat and he met with me all the time. We built a relationship and a friendship as a result of him being a member of a gang. And he was able to graduate with his high school diploma this month, June.
But here's a kid that you said you suspended.
Yes.
So you didn't do the restorative justice thing.
At the time, I didn't have those resources in place. This is my first year
so
there.
what made a difference that while he was expelled, you think?
Him becoming a dad.
Okay.
Found out he was going to become a dad, and he came back. He said, I'm ready to settle down, buckle down, and get my life together for my son. So he came back to school. He had some issues along the way, even when he decided to come back to school to participate and fully engage in his academics. Still has some issues, but we worked through those together. He has some attendance issues. The baby got sick, and we worked through that together. His priorities shifted.
Obviously, you must have spent some time because you know a lot about him.
Yes, I do. And when he received his diploma on June the 11th, I cried when I saw him walk across the stage and gave him the biggest hug.
I'm sure you did. Michelle, you got one of your many stories,
Yeah.
probably. Select one of your stories.
I think it would have to be, Gavit's a 6th through 12th building, so we have the kids 6th grade all the way up to high school. And I think one of the things is when those 6th graders come in with puppy dog eyes, it's definitely one that melts you. But I think the student that came in his 6th grade year, his mother had passed. And I can tell that his father was a very stern individual. And so I just made it a point to always stop in and see him in the morning just to say hello. And I noticed that as time went on, I would not do it as much. But when he hit high school, he came back and said, you really helped me get through middle school. And just by saying hello and checking in on me, and I appreciate that. And I think that had I not done that, who knows what would have happened in middle school, and how he would have maybe went on the wrong path. But I think that just checking in on him and making sure that everything was fine was definitely something that helped him through.
So how do you think the other students perceive that? Here you walk into the class, you check on him. How come you're not checking on me?
I think a lot of our kids are very cognizant, and they know what's going on. Like they know when they see somebody care about another individual. I don't see a whole lot of teasing in my building. I know that they know that that's very important, and that I was checking on him because I cared about him and I wanted to make sure that he was okay.
And it's probably that building trust, and they're probably seeing that and going, she really cares. And that's the message they're getting. Because you're probably right. They probably know that's a kid who's got some issues,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And they kind of know that little pecking order. What do you feel like is the biggest challenge facing you in the schools right now, in urban schools? If somebody said, if there's one problem that's really leading the pack, what is it?
Which one? I'll start with.
Well, that's a good answer. I mean, it sounds like there's more.
Yes, there's so much.
So you're like trying to figure out which one?
The funding, the way that the funding, the stream of resources that are available to urban school districts is changing rapidly. I think it's at a pace right now where we are having a hard time keeping up as well, as we talk about passing referendums and.
Which means you're losing revenue.
Yes, we're losing revenue, and then trying to get the community aware and make them knowledgeable in a short period of time of what we need to be academically successful, what your kids are going to need really, not what we necessarily need, but what your kids are going to need to be academically successful in this 21st century workplace. So that has presented itself as a challenge, along with all of this testing. I mean, we test, and Michelle, you probably can attest to this because you're 6 through 12.
Right.
We test from October to May. Every month there is some sort of high-stakes exam.
So why
important.
are you having so much problem financially? You guys get millions of dollars every year to run those schools. What's the deal?
Well, the deal is you have to maintain buildings. I mean, the staff is just one component of it.
Your building's newer, right?
No.
No?
No, my building is 30 years old.
Okay.
We don't have any new buildings.
It looks pretty nice though,
Yes,
compared to some of
thank
the
you.
older
Yes,
ones.
because we have the maintenance staff who, they're a part of that. They have to help us maintain the building. So when you think about those sorts of things and you want to have a 21st century building, when you're talking about technology and things like that, I mean, even with testing right now, everything's online.
Yeah.
So you've got to have resources to keep changing with everything that's changing in that education. We can't become a community that's just stagnant. No urban community can.
Right.
We've got to keep up with the times, or our kids are going to stay and keep falling further and further behind.
So she took the funding piece and
Yeah.
maybe a little bit of the resources. What else?
I would definitely say the testing. I think it's, they're changing the game every other year. And, they have no set tests. They have no set parameters.
Who's they?
The state. The state, the legislative piece. And I think that it makes it difficult for us as administrators and educators to have to keep chasing the test for this year. And, them not having blueprints out on what's going to be on the test before the school year begins. I mean, where are we playing? What kind of field are we playing, and not having the blueprint, and the year's already began and we get the blueprint in January?
So I hear a local person who would say, well, just teach them what they need to know. I mean, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Just teach them what they need to know.
Right. We are to teach them what they need to know, but we also need to know what areas they're going to hit hard on. There's the standards that they have put out for each grade level are so complex that it's impossible to cover every single standard and every single indicator from August to May. Well, actually, we test in April. We start testing in February and April. Yeah. It's impossible to get through all of those indicators before that time mark. So we want to know.
So you're just teaching them for the test. So shouldn't you just be teaching them what they need to know?
No, we're not just teaching them for the test. We're teaching them the skills that they need, but the content is, we want to know what content is going to be taught, what heavily content is going to be concentrated onto that test. I think our kids from an urban district come at a very disadvantage. Yes, they do. The prior knowledge is not the same of a prior knowledge of somebody in higher socioeconomic status. I think that our kids don't have the experiences, come from families to where education is not priority, and the emotional piece that our kids come from homes that they're not emotionally sound and stable, that we have to work on, but yet we're supposed to meet the same standards of other kids when our kids have to work through, like I talked earlier about, those issues and that trauma that they're going through that nobody seems to be helping them with.
I like how you get fired up here when I challenge you a little bit. No, this is good. This is what makes you successful. We're right in the end. If there was one thing, Shaunna, that you wanted people to know about what's going on in the schools today or in education, what would it be?
In education today, we need you to be a lot more actively involved in what's happening in education. Even though you may not be a person who has children in education, that are still of school age, still get actively involved in knowing what's going on in the field of education. We need you there, people in the community. That's what we really need. Everybody.
It's all part of their investment.
It's a three-legged stool. Think about it. A community. A student is here. This is the seating part, right? Okay. 3 legs under a stool.
You have
the community, you have the teachers, you have the student.
Yeah.
If one part of that is not connected, right, you don't have a stool. So we all have to work together to make sure that our kids are going to be successful. This is our future.
Quick thought from you?
My thought is relationships, and regardless of what position you're in or what you do for a living, to really help our kids out and come out to the school or come out to some games and be a support for our children, because there's nothing more that our children want than somebody supporting them and really taking an interest in them.
Well, I really appreciate what you both do. You're my heroes of being so great leaders in your schools, and thank you for all you're doing for the kids and all you're doing for our region and all you're doing for the world. So
thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You bet. For the past 4 years, it has been a special privilege for me to work with over 200 students from 30 high schools in Northwest Indiana through a youth leadership program called SLICE. They were an exceptional bunch, and I learned so much from them. One of those important lessons was understanding what kind of person has a major impact upon them. They would often talk about the people in their lives who inspired, supported, encouraged, and challenged them. I also heard about all kinds of people who had negative impacts on them, but let's focus on the good stuff. Here's what I gathered. Having genuine interest is a great starting point. It's not just being curious about their activities, but searching for what they think, how they process experiences, and how they feel. This is not easy and usually comes after trust is established. Kids are incredibly perceptive and can tell if you are truly interested in who they are. Most teens are at a point in life where they are questioning their abilities and often think they cannot do it or have failed. Reassuring them of their value and importance in the world is huge. They need to hear that what they do makes a difference. Support is another category. Words and actions which convey a message of, I believe in you and you can do it, are so vital to a young person. Even greater is I am here for you whenever you need me. They can tell who really means it and who doesn't. Having an adult recognize their abilities may be most important because it is done the least. They need to be challenged and told they are capable of so much more. To have an older person who they respect tell them that they have incredible potential, well, those words can change their lives. I think it takes someone special to reach a kid. You just heard from two strong educational leaders who live the values which were just presented in my comments. They are people who high schoolers admire and in whom they find inspiration. Now I can see from the corner of my eye that they're murmuring, not really, not me, yet they have little smiles on their faces. You can be that same kind of person to a high school student, to one younger or slightly older. Try it and be that someone special. Thanks for watching. It would be wonderful to find out what you thought about our show. Have we made you think differently or inspired you? You can reach us through our email address or website, both listed on your screen. In the next 24 hours, share something about today's show and encourage others to watch Lakeshore PBS. It makes a difference in your life. It can be the same for them. Be sure and join us again next week for another Lakeshore Focus. Until then, I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying, make a positive difference in our world today.